So investigators, this search involves Dwayne Davis, also known as Keith D. Davis speaking publicly about the night Tupac died in videos on YouTube and in a book.
It was supposed to be a quiet summer night in the Nevada desert. The kind of night where nothing ever happens. But at exactly 10 p.m., that silence was violently shattered. Flashing red and blue lights flooded a quiet suburban street, cutting through the darkness like lightning. A deep, commanding voice echoed through the neighborhood, ordering everyone inside to come out with their hands empty and raised. This was not a random police call. This was not a routine arrest. This was the moment law enforcement finally kicked down the door to one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in music history, the murder of Tupac Shakur. What unfolded that night would send shockwaves through hip-hop culture, law enforcement, and the entire world. Because inside that ordinary beige house on Maple Shade Street was a man whose name had haunted the Tupac case for nearly 3 decades. A man who had talked, bragged, and hinted at the truth for years. A man many believed would never be touched by the law. That man was Dwayne Keith Davis, better known to the streets as Keith D. The date was July 17, 2023. The location was Henderson, Nevada, a quiet city about 20 miles away from the chaos and neon glow of the Las Vegas Strip. Henderson is the kind of place people move to escape noise, crime, and attention. Families walk their dogs at night. Neighbors wave to each other. Streets are calm. Nothing about this town suggested it would become the center of one of the most explosive developments in hip-hop history. But on Maple Shade Street, the calm was about to end. Most residents were winding down for the night. Televisions flickered in living rooms. Porch lights buzzed softly. Some people were already in bed. Others were scrolling through their phones, unaware that history was about to knock on their block. What no one realized was that police had been watching this house for a long time. This wasn't a sudden decision. It wasn't rushed. It was the result of years of investigation, reopened files, new strategies, and a single target who had finally talked too much. That target was Keith D. to the outside world. Keith D. looked like a retired older man living quietly in the suburbs with his wife, Paula. But to the streets, he was something else entirely. Keith D. was a known shot caller for the South Side Compton Crips, a man deeply connected to the gang world of the 1990s. He wasn't just a foot soldier, he was a decision maker, a connector. Someone who knew how things really worked. For years, Keith D. had been telling stories. He gave interviews. He appeared in documentaries. He spoke casually about the night Tupac Shakur was shot in Las Vegas in 1996. Sometimes he framed it as storytelling. Other times, it sounded dangerously close to a confession. He seemed comfortable, almost proud. He believed the statute of limitations, past deals, and time itself had made him untouchable. Sitting inside his quiet Henderson home, Keith D. believed he was safe. That belief would be proven wrong. At exactly 10 p.m., the street exploded with action. Armored vehicles rolled into the cul-de-sac, their engines low and heavy. Police cruisers blocked off every exit, sealing the neighborhood shut. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department had arrived, and they didn't come lightly. This was a full SWAT operation. Officers stepped out dressed for war. Helmets strapped tight. Heavy vests loaded with gear. Long rifles held at the ready. Every movement was calculated, fast, and precise. Within seconds, the beige house on Maple Shade Street was completely surrounded. There was no escape route, no blind spot, no room for mistakes. A nearby neighbor, Don Sansucci, was just getting into bed when he heard the noise. At first, he thought it might be a car accident. Then he looked out his window. What he saw didn't make sense. Police cruisers, armored vehicles, officers moving in formation. Then the lights came on, massive, blinding spotlights aimed directly at the house. The front yard lit up like daytime. There was nowhere to hide. No shadows left. Then came the command. An officer lifted a megaphone, his voice booming through the quiet neighborhood. "Come out with your hands empty. Come out with your hands up." The words echoed off nearby houses, waking neighbors and freezing everyone in place. This was no longer just police activity. This was history unfolding in real time. Inside the house, Keith D. and his wife Paula were trapped. There was no back exit. No time to destroy evidence. No chance to flush anything away. The quiet suburban life they believed protected them vanished in seconds. Outside, law enforcement waited, knowing that this moment had been years in the making. The significance of this raid cannot be overstated. For nearly 27 years, the murder of Tupac Shakur remained officially unsolved. Countless theories circulated. Names were whispered. Fingers were pointed. But nothing ever stuck. The case became a symbol of injustice and silence. A reminder of how power and fear could stall truth indefinitely. And yet, here it was, one ordinary house, one extraordinary raid. and a man long suspected finally facing the consequences of his own words. Keefe D had openly admitted in past interviews that he was inside the car, involved in the 1996 Las Vegas shooting. He had named Orlando Anderson as the shooter. He had described the events of that night in chilling detail. Law enforcement listened. Documentarians recorded it. Fans debated it. But for years, nothing happened. Until now. What changed? According to investigators, Keefe D's own words became the key. Statements he believed were protected by immunity deals and time were re-examined. Under a new legal lens, prosecutors built a case not on rumor but on consistency on how the same story kept appearing. Again and again across different platforms and years. Combined with witness accounts, ballistic evidence, and vehicle analysis, the puzzle finally began to come together. This raid wasn't just about arresting one man. It was about reopening a chapter of history many believed was permanently closed. It was about sending a message that time does not erase accountability, that talking too freely can eventually catch up to you, and that even the biggest mysteries can crack when patience meets persistence. As news of the raid spread, the reaction was immediate. Social media exploded. Headlines circled the globe. Fans of Tupac Shakur felt a mix of shock, relief, and anger. Some celebrated the possibility of justice. Others questioned why it took nearly 3 decades. Many simply sat in silence, realizing they were witnessing a moment they never thought would come. This wasn't closure, not yet. But it was something far more powerful: movement. For the first time in decades, the Tupac case felt alive again. Not as legend or conspiracy, but as an active criminal investigation with real consequences. And it all began on a quiet summer night on a peaceful street, outside a regular beige house that held secrets powerful enough to shake the world. What police found inside that house would change everything we thought we knew about the death of Tupac Shakur. And as the investigation continues, one truth has become impossible to ignore: this story is far from over. The police presence is overwhelming. Patrol cars line the street. Red and blue lights bounce off nearby houses, cutting through the quiet of an ordinary neighborhood. A garage door begins to rise slowly, almost dramatically, as if time itself has slowed down. A man and a woman step out into the harsh daylight. They don't panic. They don't run. They already know what's happening. They've seen this moment coming for years. Calmly, they turn around, interlace their fingers behind their heads, and begin walking backward toward armed officers. This is standard police procedure, a safety move designed to prevent any sudden threat. But this moment is anything but standard. The man walking backward in his own driveway is Keefe D, a self-proclaimed former gangster whose name has been tied to one of the most infamous unsolved murders in music history. Officers move in quickly. Zip ties tighten around his wrists. Keefe D speaks up, almost casually, asking, "Who you looking for?" "Me," but the police are not there to talk. They are not there to negotiate. They are there to search. In their hands is a powerful document, a search warrant that gives them legal authority to tear through the walls of his private life. This isn't about arresting a suspect on the spot. This is about something deeper. This is about evidence. This is about memory. This is about ghosts from 1996 that never stopped haunting the streets of Las Vegas. Detectives step inside the house with gloves on, carrying empty boxes and sealed evidence bags. They aren't looking for a person. They are searching for history. For decades-old clues that might finally connect the dots in the murder of Tupac Shakur. The warrant is painfully specific. It authorizes officers to search for anything connected to Tupac's killing: documents, weapons, ammunition, writings, digital files, and memorabilia. Let that sink in for a moment. A judge signed off on this warrant in 2023 for a crime that happened 27 years earlier. That almost never happens. When it does, it signals one thing: investigators believe they are close. Police believe Keefe D kept items from that night. They believe he talked too much, remembered too much, and possibly held onto proof. According to investigators, this wasn't a man trying to forget the past. This was someone who may have been proud of it. And as the hours pass, that belief appears to gain weight. Detectives search every drawer, look under mattresses, open closets, and dig through the garage. Nothing is overlooked. Every object is a potential clue. Every forgotten box could hold a piece of history that changes everything. When officers finally emerge, they are carrying boxes, heavy boxes filled with seized evidence. What they found inside the house shocks even seasoned investigators. This wasn't just paperwork or old photographs. This was a collection of items that appear to directly point back to the night Tupac Shakur was murdered. Among the items listed in the warrant return is something chilling: .40 caliber ammunition, small, cold, deadly, and potentially devastating to Keefe D's defense. These bullets matter. They matter because on the night of September 7, 1996, Tupac Shakur was shot multiple times while riding in a black BMW on the Las Vegas Strip. The weapon used in the attack was identified as a .40 caliber Glock 22. Police recovered shell casings from the scene. Doctors removed bullets from Tupac's body. For nearly 3 decades, those bullets sat sealed in evidence lockers, waiting for science to catch up, waiting for a chance to speak. Now, inside the home of the man long rumored to be connected to that shooting, investigators find .40 caliber cartridges, the same caliber used to kill Tupac. Even if these specific bullets weren't purchased in 1996, their presence is significant. It establishes familiarity. It shows access. It shows continuity. According to detectives, it suggests Keefe D remained connected to the same type of weaponry long after the crime. And that alone raises serious questions. But the real power lies in modern forensic science. The bullets seized from Keefe D's home were immediately sent to the lab. Today's technology can analyze microscopic tool marks, tiny scratches left on bullets when they pass through a gun barrel. These marks are as unique as fingerprints. If the bullets from Keefe D's home show the same tool marks as the bullets recovered from Tupac's body or the crime scene, it would be devastating evidence. Investigators are also testing the chemical makeup of the lead to see if it matches the same manufacturing batch. If they find a match, the implications are massive. It wouldn't just support old theories, it would transform them into forensic facts. This search represents something bigger than one man or one house. It represents a shift. For years, the murder of Tupac Shakur was treated as a cold case, something tragic but untouchable. Witnesses disappeared. Stories changed. Fear kept mouths shut. But now, decades later, investigators appear willing to reopen doors that were once sealed shut. And Keefe D sits at the center of that renewed focus. Keefe D has never been a silent figure. Over the years, he spoke openly in interviews, podcasts, and even books about his alleged role in the events surrounding Tupac's death. According to his own statements, he was present in the car from which the shots were fired. He named names. He described movements. For years, those statements were dismissed as talk, bragging, storytelling, or exaggeration. But law enforcement never forgot them. They waited. And now, with advances in technology and renewed public pressure, they appear ready to act. What makes this moment historic is not just the evidence, but the timing. Nearly 3 decades after Tupac's murder, the world has changed. Digital footprints last forever. Old interviews can be replayed. Inconsistent stories can be compared side by side. And forensic science can now answer questions that were impossible to solve in the 1990s. The past is no longer out of reach. It is searchable, testable, prosecutable. This investigation also forces a wider conversation about accountability in the music industry. Tupac Shakur was not just a rapper. He was a cultural icon, a political voice, and a global superstar. His murder sent shockwaves across the world. Yet justice never came. For many fans, this case symbolizes how fame, power, and fear can stall even the most high-profile investigations. But this search warrant sends a different message. It suggests that time does not erase responsibility. As the evidence is analyzed, the pressure builds. If forensic results confirm a match, prosecutors may finally have what they need to move forward. That doesn't just affect Keefe D, it reshapes the entire narrative surrounding Tupac's death. It challenges decades of rumors and speculation with scientific proof. And it reminds the world that no matter how much time passes, the truth has a way of resurfacing. For Tupac's family, fans, and supporters, this moment brings mixed emotions. Hope, anger, relief, and pain collide. Justice delayed is painful, but justice denied is worse. The possibility that answers may finally come after 27 long years feels almost unreal. Yet here it is, unfolding in real time. This story is not over. The lab results will speak. The evidence will be weighed. And the digital graveyard of Tupac Shakur's case, filled with old interviews, sealed evidence, and unanswered questions, may finally begin to clear. What happens next could rewrite history, not just for hip-hop, but for the justice system itself. Because when the past refuses to stay buried and the truth finally catches up, even legends can get the justice they were denied. As investigators wait for forensic results, the pressure surrounding this case continues to intensify. Inside crime labs, specialists carefully examine each cartridge recovered from Keefe D's home. Under powerful microscopes, technicians study microscopic markings invisible to the human eye, marks that can reveal whether a bullet passed through the same firearm decades earlier. This process takes time, precision, and patience, but it has solved cases once thought impossible. Modern forensic science has reopened murders from the 1970s and 1980s, cases far older than Tupac's. Detectives believe this could be another moment where technology finally catches up to the truth. At the same time, prosecutors are quietly reviewing years of statements, interviews, and public admissions made by Keefe D himself. Over the years, he described the events of that night in Las Vegas with unsettling detail. He spoke about who was in the car, where it was positioned, and how the shots were fired. While those statements alone were not enough to secure charges in the past, combined with physical evidence, they could now become extremely powerful. In the eyes of the law, consistency matters, and inconsistencies can be just as revealing. Legal experts point out that the search warrant itself is a strong signal. Judges do not approve such invasive searches in decades-old cases without substantial probable cause. This suggests investigators presented compelling evidence behind closed-doors evidence the public has not yet seen. That alone raises the stakes. If prosecutors believe they can finally build a timeline supported by physical proof, witness statements, and forensic matches, this case could move forward faster than many expect. The ripple effects of this investigation stretch far beyond one suspect. If charges are filed, it would mark the first real legal breakthrough in Tupac Shakur's murder since 1996. It would also force a painful re-examination of how the case was handled in its earliest days. Missed leads, ignored witnesses, and political pressure could all come back into focus. For many observers, this raises uncomfortable questions about whether justice was delayed by lack of resources or by fear of confronting powerful figures. The cultural impact cannot be ignored either. Tupac's death shaped hip-hop for generations. His lyrics, interviews, and public persona became symbols of resistance, anger, and truth-telling. To this day, his influence remains unmatched. Solving his murder would not erase the loss, but it would finally bring clarity to a story that has lived in speculation for nearly 3 decades. It would separate myth from fact and rumor from reality. This investigation also sends a message to anyone who believed time could protect them. For years, the assumption was simple: too much time had passed, memories had faded, and evidence was gone. But this case proves the opposite. Evidence can survive, science can evolve, and silence does not guarantee safety. The idea that someone could openly discuss involvement in a murder and never face consequences may finally be coming to an end. As public interest grows, media attention has returned in full force. News outlets, documentaries, and podcasts are revisiting old footage, replaying interviews, and analyzing every development. What once lived in conspiracy forums is now front-page news. And with that attention comes accountability. Investigators know the world is watching. Mistakes cannot be hidden. Shortcuts cannot be taken. For Tupac's family, the wait has been unimaginably long. Each new development reopens wounds that never healed. But it also brings hope that the truth will finally be recognized officially, not just believed privately. Justice does not bring closure, but it brings acknowledgement. It says that what happened mattered and that the victim mattered. As this chapter unfolds, one thing is certain: the story